Hey folks, it's Matt here, and today I'm going to talk to you about my approach to taking reverse triangle pose. When I take my reverse triangle in my own practice, when I teach as well, my preference is always to keep the back heel lifted away from the mat. So the pose ends up looking something like this, and can be wherever you feel comfortable, rather than the heel down as is more kind of traditional, working around into the twist position from there. And there are two reasons why I like to take the pose in that way. The first is that I find a more efficient way of finding the twist. So when we think about the mechanics of twisting, how we initiate twists, there are kind of two key things that we want to think about. The first is that we want to initiate the twist from the pelvis. So if I'm twisting around to the right, round towards the camera, rather than keeping my pelvis squared forwards towards the front of the mat, I want to slightly draw that right side of the pelvis back, draw the left side of the pelvis around. So that's how we initiate the twist. And then the second principle is that once we've taken that little bit of rotation around through the pelvis, most of the rotation from there comes around through the mid spine. So we really want to feel that it's the rib cage, the chest, the belly rolling around into that twist position, rather than we're trying to twist from the lower back, which is not really functionally designed for twisting. The joints between the vertebrae tend to be on a more vertical plane at the bottom of the spine, so that's good when we want to flex or extend the spine. Not so good for twisting, but when we come to the mid part of the spine, those joints are arranged one over the other, so they can slide one over the other as we work around into the twist. So when we think about those two kind of principles of twisting, when we apply that to reverse triangle, we can see when the heel is lifted like so, I can slightly draw that right side of the pelvis back, so I'm bringing the left side of the pelvis around with me, and then from there I can find that twist position. If I'm going to take the more traditional approach with the back heel down onto the floor, what you can see is that tends to bring my hips around in the opposite direction. Unless you've got a lot of rotation available to you in that front thigh, what will happen is the right hip will pop around to this side, so it's slightly drawing forwards rather than drawing back, and I feel I'm working against myself when I take the twist. It just feels a little bit clunky. So that's the first of the reasons as to why I like to keep the back heel lifted in the pose. The second reason is that it creates an inherently less stable structure, and that's something I'm quite a fan of doing, creating less inherent stability for the body, so that the body then has to work for itself to create that stability internally. So again, if I'm going to come into the pose from here, bring the back heel down, that feels pretty stable. If I lift the back heel up, it just feels a little less stable. So I've got to work all through the chain of the body to create that stability for myself as I work around into the twist position. So that's the second reason. It creates a little bit less stability through the body. So there you have my spin on reverse triangle, and more specifically on why I like to keep the back heel lifted when I take the pose for myself. If you've not tried that approach to the posture before, then give it a go. Just see how it feels in the body. You might alternate between the more traditional approach with the back heel down, and then take that lift of the heel away, and then just see how it feels as you work your way around into the twist.